Okay, welcome back to Dan of All Trades. We're still working on this expedition. Today I'm going to show you how to replace your rocker panel, rusted out rocker panel, or repair the rust, whatever route you want to do. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. This is the top side. You see we got some rust in here, but when we get underneath, that's really bad. There's holes, it's rusted out. This is actually a slip-on type. It's made to go over the existing panel, or you can cut it and weld it in. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Underneath, and as you can see, this is where it's really bad. Rusted completely out. So what I'm going to do, there's a couple ways to do this. You can cut out everything and then weld back in your panel, bondo it, paint over, sand it, make it look good. Or you can get rid of the rust you can, the loose stuff, cut it out, and then take that panel we have and we just slip it over it. So it kind of goes over all of the rust. Either way will work. So what you want to do first is you're going to start getting, you want to knock off all the loose stuff, okay? So once we have all the loose stuff knocked off, we go through and cut our areas out with a nice clean cut, so we don't have this stuff hanging off there. And you want to make sure you have good metal somewhere to attach your new piece to. So we knocked off all the loose stuff that we could get off. I'm gonna go through, use my cutoff wheel. I'm gonna cut all this old, all this bad rust out. This panel that's all flimsy junk. We're gonna cut it back to here or so. Same with all this stuff here. The nice part about the way we're doing it is we don't have to cut out this whole panel. We can just cut back to where the metal's good, and then our new piece is gonna go way over it, over to here. So it's gonna cover it up really nicely. Okay, now we got our big sections all cut out. We got the majority of the rust out of there. Now you want to grind where your metal is gonna mount. I'm gonna be using this inside edge right here. So my metal is gonna sit right on that. So I'm gonna grind all of that. Try to get it as clean as I can. And if you're welding it, then you need it super clean. We got underneath, we got that cleaned up, we got that ground down, all that loose rust is out of there. Now we're going up top here. We're going to use a little sanding wheel, and we're going to get this stuff right here. So we don't need to cut this out because the metal is still there. We're just going to knock it down so our new metal, our new piece will sit tight on this. And that's all that is. You don't need to do the whole panel. Just need to do where the rust is built up. Okay, now we got all of our sanding done. Now it's time to try to fit our steel. My application, this piece is bigger than what I'm working with, so it fits other models. I'm hitting the tire right here, and I'm not quite, this piece is gonna come up into here. So, like I said, this is made to fit a bigger expedition than mine. So you gotta cut it down. Now we're just gonna trim it. We're gonna mark it and do a little bit of trimming. You want to do little pieces, do a bunch of cuts, small ones. Don't do one big one and make it too short. Okay, so let's cut that here somewhere. try that first. Okay, so we made a couple cuts now. It's starting to fit. Like I said, 3 cuts is better than 1 big cut. But when you get to, it starts fitting good, see little areas like this where the body is different than your panel, is because this new piece is supposed to sit further back right here. So, you know, you gotta do some more trimming. So I made another mark right there. So that's gonna come down like that right there, and then that'll clear this little hump. A little bit more trimming to do up here on these edges, but we're getting really close. So do a bunch of trimming, a bunch of fitting, make it fit nice. It'll pay off in the end here. This edge up here, now take a look up here. You see the gap between your new piece and the original piece in the car. Now, since we're going over the metal, you're gonna have a gap like that. It's not gonna fit perfect. But if we were to cut out where this new metal ends and tack weld this in there, then this lip would be facing that perfectly right there, flat against that. But the way I'm gonna install it is I got all these cuts done. You know, the ends, everything fits good like that. I'm gonna cut this whole lip off right here, and then I'm gonna be riveting this piece in like that, so it'll be nice and tight. And then by the time your door seal comes down, you won't even see the line where that meets anyway. So when we install this, we're gonna install the top first, put our rivets in the top, get it nice and tight. And then if you come underneath, let's show you. Oh, if you get the top installed how it should be, nice and flat and tight, then you got the bottom down here, you got this gap. So once the top's installed, then you're gonna have to clamp the bottom here, and it's gonna bend up like this. And then when it's all installed, it's gonna fit nice. So I'm gonna do the top first, you know, to hold it in place. And then we'll come down here to the bottom, get all of our stuff set up, clamp it in place, and then rivet. A bunch of rivets down here on the bottom. Okay, now you got all your cuts done. You wanna take your sanding wheel and clean up all these edges now. So get all these burrs off there, make them so they're not so sharp. Okay, now we're doing our final fit, and then I'm gonna mark it with a marker. The reason I'm marking this is because not only am I gonna use rivets to install this, hold it in, I'm also gonna use a 2-part epoxy, automotive body epoxy. So I wanna mark where this steel goes to, so then I can apply the epoxy to the car before I slip this on. We got our markings on the car here. We're gonna put our epoxy down on here now. We know where to put it. And what we're gonna be using is this 2-part auto body epoxy. It's not just your JB Weld stuff you're getting at the hardware store. You're gonna have to go to a body shop or a auto body paint store and get something like this. It's gonna pre-mix itself through this tube. When you squeeze the trigger, you'll see it all run up through there. It's like that. That's mixing itself. So by the time it comes out here, it's gonna be mixed and ready to go. So we wanna go just on the inside of our lines we made. And we're just gonna put a generous amount here. I'll let it hit the glue. Line it up with your markings here. You good over there?
Yep.
Okay, now you want to hold it tight against the car when you do your rivets. Okay, I'm pushing against this edge right here. Pushing that. I think I'm gonna install a rivet in there first because the top wants to roll. So if we install our rivets in this flat piece first, that will secure the whole thing, and then we can go up top here on this edge. And I'm using just 1/8 inch pop rivets. So these are just easy accessible from any hardware store. Nothing special about these. And you want to get a couple installed to be safe here. And you can see your epoxy squirting out the sides. That's what you want. That means you're getting a good seal in between there, and hopefully no water will work its way down into there. But the top piece of the metal is all riveted down. We used our 2-part epoxy. Now we're going underneath here, and we got to get this piece up against the car here. And I'm going to use the 2-part epoxy down here, put a seam of it right on the edge of the metal, and then we're going to clamp this and rivet it as we go, and moving our clamps down, continue riveting all the way down the panel. Okay, so we're going to put a nice generous bead of this epoxy along this whole edge all the way down. Once we get that done, then we'll go start clamping it. And you got a while before this starts setting up. I mean, probably 45 minutes or so. So you got a good amount of time to clamp and rivet. Okay, now I got my first clamping thing I'm going to use is a jack and a piece of 2x4. And I'm going to put that right about in the middle of the car here. And I'm going to jack that all the way up. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to go to the back and start riveting and clamping that. Okay, so I got the jack up here in the middle. I'm going to put a clamp over here at the end, because I'm going to start my first rivet way down here at the end. And then as I rivet, I'm going to unclamp and move my clamp down like this along with the rivets till we get to the middle, and then we'll move our jack. Okay, so I'm going to put my first rivet on the very end here. Okay, now these are a lot heavier duty rivets than we use for the top. And I'm actually going to use an air rivet gun to install these. Okay. There we go. Now we'll install another one about here, and then we'll move our block and just work our way down. Okay, we got our rivets in right here. We're up to our jack now. We're gonna move our jack farther towards the car here and just keep working our way down. Here's the bottom of the rocker panel, completely riveted in. Turned out pretty good. I don't really see too many like waves in between the rivets, which that's what I was kind of worried about. That's why I put the 2-part epoxy in there. But the steel is actually fairly thick to where once you started going with the rivets, it stayed in place where it was supposed to be. Okay, that's it for this video. Like always, everybody, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.